Hello. This year we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Alaska Women's Hall of Fame. I am Jane Angvik, a volunteer who works with a dedicated group of women to bring you this program. The mission of the Alaska Women's Hall of Fame is to honor the women whose contributions have influenced the direction of Alaska. We celebrate women who have made a difference in their community or in our state through their work that occurs in any field of endeavor. This project was initiated in 2008 as Alaska prepared to observe the 50th anniversary of statehood. A group came together to ensure that the contributions of women were well included in that history. We wanted children and their parents to know about the many significant roles that women play in Alaska. We sought to share the dazzling stories of females who are doctors or mushers, tribal chiefs or geologists, midwives or entrepreneurs, aviators, culture bearers, or public servants. So, we created the Alaska Women's Hall of Fame to annually salute extraordinary women across the Great Land. Our virtual Hall of Fame is located on our website. It includes the biographies and photographs of all inductees. It also hosts a nomination form which can be filled out and submitted from the site itself. Anyone may nominate a woman. A nominee may be living or deceased, but must have lived in Alaska at some point in her life. If a nominee is living, she must be at least 65 years of age. Finally, a nominee's contributions should be of community, statewide, or national importance, and of enduring value to Alaska communities and institutions. Honorees have come from communities across the state. There are 160 women who have been inducted since 2008. They come from as far away as St. Lawrence Island on the northwest coast. Let's watch a group who came from Gamble to honor their elder, Annie Aloha. Can I get everybody from St. Lawrence Island to please stand up? All right. Other honorees came from Southeast Alaska. Here are comments from a few of them, which they shared at their inductions.
My Tlingit names are Yedeklitzak. It's an ancient name whose meaning has been lost in time. My ceremonial name is Kahani. It means woman who stands in the place of a man.
And our women would show up at the meetings with their crocheting and their knitting. And at the meetings, they'd be quietly working on the crochet work. But they were absorbing all of the things that they heard and learning. They were referred to as the little old ladies from the village. And I choose to think it was not derisively. As time came about, it was a real compliment. Those little old ladies from the village developed the foundation, they wrote the bylaws, they developed the Articles of Incorporation, and laid a strong foundation for an organization which is now in its 35th year.
I come from the matriarchal clan. The Tlingits have a matriarchal clan, which means the women are the ones that their generations after generations follow.
Reflections about work as well as wisdom were offered by other inductees. Here is a sample.
I'm here today because I have a loving mother. I had wise and patient teachers. I had a great husband and children. And I have friends that have supported me, warts and all, throughout my stay in here. So do I love being in Alaska? It's the only place to be.
And recently completed a 45-year report, which will go on sale after my talk. And there are a few words in it, but mostly it's just tables and bar charts and line graphs, and oh, we love this stuff. Okay. My career has been interesting, challenging, and rewarding in many ways. I want to thank those who have journeyed with me and continue the work.
But of course, I'm best known for the fact that I've probably eaten more endangered species than most of you have ever seen. And the fact that I was not only the first woman ever appointed to the Fish and Game Board, I was the first one ever fired. Although some of our indigenous societies were matriarchal, and women carried a large share of the burden for the rest, Alaska has long been known as a man's state. My mother, a Vermonter who applied to teach here in 1920, qualified but was turned down because she was a single woman. I came in 1959 with a husband and the dream of making enough money to sail around the world in a yacht.
What I think we all have in common is wanting to contribute to a better world for our children and our grandchildren and generations beyond. You know, there are many paths that the amazing women of Alaska have traveled and blazed, including voting since 1913. And in fact, on this very day, in 1913, over 5,000 women marched on Washington, D.C. to demand the right to vote. Yes! But it didn't happen for them until 1920. So my particular passion has been theater, which has allowed me to produce plays that are inclusive of the diversity of the great state of Alaska. Many of our plays have highlighted women of influence, such as Molly Ivins, the great spokesperson for power with the people rather than special interest.
And I loved the Aleutians. It was delightful and very interesting, needless to say. And then when they also wanted me to set up a protocol for their obstetrical patients because it cost $1,000 just to come to Anchorage. So these poor women who were pregnant would arrive in Anchorage and nobody had any laboratory work. They didn't have any of the other studies that we ordinarily did for taking care of pregnant women. And after I did that, the OB rate in Dutch Harbor multiplied very rapidly. And so after that, I said, how about having a mastectomy special advertised over the
I am pleased to represent the 30,000 Filipinos who live in Alaska and look forward to see many more Alaska women of diverse races and cultures recognized for their outstanding service and contributions to their communities and to our state.
Some of the honorees shared humorous reflections on their experiences.
Yes, we have come a long way, baby, but we also recognize we have a very long way to go in improving the fields of health, education, energy, equity, environment, science, etc. I must tell you a short story about my grandson, AC, who asked me one day if I were an elder. I said, yes, I am. To which he replied, Grandma, I know you are an elder, but you are smarter than an elder. Could I call you my ancient one? So yes, I'm the ancient one.
One night I drove the late bus to the airport and there was only one passenger got off, so I loaded his gear into my bus and then I drove him the 13 miles into town. And all this way, he was telling me about his importance, because he was an important guy, you have to understand. He was from a place far away called Washington, D.C. Not that the small town bus driver would know where that was, but he proceeded to tell me just how important he was. And he was here to meet extraordinarily important people, you understand. So I nodded and said, that's wonderful, it's great, good on you. So then when we arrived at my hotel, the night girl was gone, so I went in and checked him into the hotel. And then he had trouble with his TV, so I adjusted his television set. And then he called the desk and wanted to rent a car, so I shoveled off a car, warmed it up, and rented him a car. So the next morning, as I finished doing dishes in the restaurant, I went to my office at City Hall, and the poor dear, guess who he was here to meet? Yeah, that would be the mayor. And he's like, are you the real mayor? And I said, I would be the real mayor.
Somebody told me recently that if somebody tells you you can't do something, what they're telling you is that you can't do it with them. So, especially the young people in the room, there are ways to solve your dreams. I didn't ever dream I would go to Harvard. When I got accepted, some of the native ladies told me, girls don't go to Harvard, who do you think you're doing? You find ways to do things, and I wrote a curriculum in Native Studies, a multifaceted curriculum that includes minor, major, master's degrees, and we mentor a lot of doctorates. You can do it if you don't know that you can't.
Family members offered observations about honorees who had passed away.
I remember as a child, the Doyon presidents, 10 Chiefs Conference presidents, board members, all these people would be coming to my house all the time and asking my grandmother questions, getting counsel from her, what should I do, this and that, and they'd have long discussions, you know, and I'd just sit there, you know, as a kid, and I didn't know how important she was, you know, because she was just my grandma, you know, to me. So, and throughout, you know, and my daughter here, you know, she got the privilege to meet her, you know, and just be a part of her life, and she calls her Sitsu Cho, which means great grandmother in my language.
All this talk about trees and mountains leads into the fact that Tlingit art and story was filled with metaphor. And so I'd like to share one of Terry's metaphors. On any hillside, all of these different trees' roots interweave themselves as they grow old together. You might even say their very survival depends on their interconnectedness. And when the wild storms of the Pacific blew in, it's that interconnectedness that keeps them standing. Terry found that in life, our roots go deeper the longer we are in one place. However, they are woven together with others and nourished by the soils of the places we live in. We withstand the storms of life together because of that diversity and interconnectedness. Ethnicities are like the different species of trees, and places are like the soils. Her natural world truly did inform her life.
Remember, anyone may nominate a woman. Thank you to all who have nominated women in the past. A panel composed of previous honorees reviews the nominations and selects new members annually. The Alaska Women's Hall of Fame is a nonprofit organization. We are very grateful for the support of people and organizations who have invested their time, talents, and money to sustain these efforts. The biographies and photographs of honorees are available for public use from the website. Who inspires you? Please nominate her.